Well, this is a special episode of our podcast, being it's one guy with some spare time, as Nick is traveling somewhere in the outback of Australia. And in our last podcast, obviously, we completed our picks for our West and our Eastern Conference teams. And then we had a fairly heated summary in regards to which team would be better. And since I seem to have bit too much spare time, let's make it happen. Let's simulate these teams. So I guess what better way to simulate teams than obviously going to your classic 2K, right? I think this was done on 2K21. So sorry, it's not the latest one that was just released. I'm sure everyone's run off to download. And I guess I also simply put these teams in to the 30 team rosters by simply pulling the two worst teams on each conference. So that was obviously in this simulation, Orlando and Detroit in the East, and I pulled out Sacramento and Houston in the West. Obviously, I dumped all the players off those teams, but I left the five worst players on those teams to fill out these 15-man rosters. But obviously, those players virtually saw no minutes anyway. So then I ran obviously an 82 game simulation and then playoffs and finals. And it had some interesting results, which, we'll share in a few weeks' time. But I guess I guess now we're sort of obviously looking at give everyone out there a chance to have a vote and see which team they really think is the best team out of the four that we had picked over the last few weeks. So a bit of a recap of the teams. Obviously, I drafted first in the West here. Ended up with a team with multiple MVPs. I had Steph Curry and Nikola Jokic, supported by obviously Devin Booker and Ja Morant and Zion Williamson. Obviously, hopefully he'll come back healthy this season and be really impactful for the Pelicans. On the bench, I had SGA and CJ McCollum, Andrew Wiggins, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Chet Holmgren, which obviously unfortunately has lost for the season. And also, unfortunately, doesn't have a avatar online, so you can see my beautiful Photoshop job there of a really happy, cheery Chet Holmgren, obviously. And then obviously in the West End, Nick got his picks. He drafted second. He ended up with Luka and LeBron, two superstars, to anchor his team, and supported by Anthony Edwards, Brandon Ingram, and AD. On the bench, he had selected Davion Mitchell and Lou Dort and Desmond Bain, and defensive stoppers Mikal Bridges and JaVale McGee. You also notice that I did sort of, do a little bit of salary cap calculations too. You probably saw on my slide before that with two MVPs on your team and quite a veteran bench that, I'm paying a fair bit in that Western Conference team, whereas obviously Nick's team was, significantly less for the payroll. Then we went over to the East, and then Nick obviously selected first in the East here. He went with Giannis and Trae Young, supported by KD. Hopefully, he's happy to play in this team, and Jimmy Butler and Scotty Barnes. And the bench, he had Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart, Seth Curry, Buddy Hield, RJ Barrett, and Evan Mobley. So, yeah, it was obviously, that payroll also sort of bumped it up there, especially with KD and Giannis, I guess, two MVPs. And obviously he's paying, it was the second highest payroll out of the four teams. Then I selected last in the East here with actually the lowest payroll team out there, which started with Jason Tatum and Joel Embiid, and filled that team out with LaMelo Ball, DeJounte Murray, and Jaylen Brown. On the bench, we got Darius Garland, Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, Bobby Portis, and Bam Adebayo. So I guess, look, if you want to sort of listen more to those teams and how we came across picking those players, definitely check out the links below and check out those full podcasts. And I guess, you got a chance now to, share your opinion. Which team out of these four do you think is the best team out there?